Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Trinity Counseling's 8th annual benefit, Tacos for Trinity. I'm Don Richards, founder of Trinity Counseling, and we are very grateful for your support tonight. We're also grateful to our sponsors and auction donors whose names are listed on our website and on the auction bidding page. We would be grateful if you would thank them and also support their companies. Speaking of the bidding, as you probably noticed, there are some fantastic items which have been donated. If you haven't taken a look at the bidding page, do so and jump in and make a bid. You can do that easily by phone, tablet, or computer while you're listening to the speakers. The auction closes at 8:30 tonight, so please get your bids in quickly and remember, bid often and bid generously. May I also tell you a little bit about Trinity Counseling. We were formed in the year 2000 to fulfill a substantial need in the Birmingham area for access to seasoned counseling regardless of the person's capacity to pay. By God's grace and your support, we continue to see those needs being met in miraculous ways. In the last 4 years, 75% of our clients have received some sort of assistance for counseling. Since our inception, we have given away to those who could not otherwise afford it $1,150,000 in scholarships and assistance. Because of our philosophy to never turn anyone away for financial reasons, your tax-deductible gifts provide 100% of those scholarships. Trinity is also privileged to provide a seasoned mental health professional, our own Dr. Paulette Rowe, who provides individual and group sessions to students and their families, as well as consultations with the faculty at Restoration Academy, a Christian school in Fairfield. Recently, we have also begun offering an exciting new treatment, microcurrent neurofeedback, which has proven to help many of our clients. One of our counselors, Rebecca Laws, will tell you a bit about that in a few minutes. But remember, please continue to bid. And now I have the privilege to introduce to you Mrs. Peg Lawrence, who would like to tell you a little bit about her experience with Trinity and what your gifts have meant to her and many others. Peg?
Thank you, Don. As he said, I am Peg Lawrence, and actually when I first started coming to Trinity in 2008, I was Peg Williamson. I have been coming here that long, and more recently see another counselor, Corey Ray. And when she first asked me to speak for this virtual event, you always have 100 things that go through your mind. I rattled off a list of other clients who would do a better job and who are great speakers, and then she persisted, and so I started thinking about, my first times here, my first few weeks and days, and one of the things that at the time I was seeing Don, one of the things he said to me that the only thing I could do wrong would be quit in his office. That's the only thing I could ever do wrong or mess up with, and that was such a picture of safety to me. And so I was thinking about that today and the progression of healing that I have undergone because of Trinity all these years. And so we established, because of trauma that I sustained in my adolescence, he and I established very early on that it was remarkable that I did not have any addictions, to substance or other addictions. And so we spent some time just letting me purge and kind of dwelling on that. And then over the next several months, we learned that I had a pretty severe self-destructive sort of mindset and nature that would communicate to others as no fear, with this fun or funny personality and shock value, and that looked the same on the inside. Self-destructive behavior looks the same on the inside as addiction does. And so we spent quite some time talking about that, and then over the next few years realized that I did have an addiction, and that is to performance. That is how my coping mechanisms surfaced over time, with a type A personality, I became, from childhood into my 30s, addicted to affirmation from a very specific type of relationship in my life. So any relationship with a boss I admired, or a family member who had been instrumental in my life or my college career, I have had an addiction to needing affirmation from those people, and it defined me. And so it's been a very interesting journey over these past 12 plus years, discovering this, this journey through realization that that dependence and addiction and such things can take on many different forms and many different faces. And so as I was thinking about him saying, the only thing you can do wrong is quit, and then relating that to performance, what is the opposite of performance to me? And that is vulnerability in relationships, certainly vulnerability in my relationship with Don and now Corey and my husband and son, who, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't have the same last name when I started that I do now. And had recently done a Bible study about the life of Joseph. And when he was in prison for something he didn't do, he said, when I was 17, I was taken away from my people and put in this dungeon, and even now I don't deserve to be here. And he had been about 17 when that happened, and at the time he was saying this, he was 28. And it was going to be another 2 full years before he would get out of prison. And what got him out was his ability to do or to say what God wanted him specifically to say, no one else. And so the verse where he tells Pharaoh, I can't interpret your dreams, but God. And so I was thinking about that phrase today and praying about it. And what is, that's not where the verse ends, but let's take that phrase out for a moment and say, but God. What does that sound like? What does it sound like in my heart? What does it sound like in your heart? It could be, but God, what are you thinking? Or why would you do that? Or even tell me why, and I'll go with it. I'll accept it. Or it could be, but God, a whine, no, not me. Or we can just say, but God, period. And I think that's probably been the biggest challenge for me, and continues to be oftentimes, is to accept and believe that I can be as vulnerable with, and I am as safe with God as I was Don in 2008 and Corey in more recent years. And I still struggle with it, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, sometimes I do great. But a little bit later, when Joseph was interpreting Pharaoh's dreams, he said, the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And you're talking about someone who from boyhood was snatched from his family, spent over a decade in prison, and in one day was given the words that God would have him to say to the ruler of a nation. And what he had to say was, I can't do it, but God. And so, if anything, I would encourage those of you who come to Trinity as clients to continue coming. Those of you who have ever considered seeking counseling to do it. And those of you who are donors to continue donating, because over the past 12 years there have been more than one occasion where scholarship dollars for my counseling allowed continuity that I otherwise might not have had. And also during the past 12 years I had moved to Mobile, and so I would incur travel expenses, still wanting to come up and continue that process and that journey. I didn't have to do it alone. I am much further healed at 47, having come here in 2008 for something that happened to me at 17, 18, and 19 years old. And so I feel like Trinity's message to me is best stated in a song by Kelly Minter. She is a Bible study writer with Lifeway Women, and the verses that she wrote are, lend me your tears, the ones you cry the hardest. We'll water the seeds you sow. One day you'll wake up and joy will be your harvest and peace will be your home. So thank you for listening to us today. Thank you for bidding on these items. All of the dollars that you give to Trinity go to clients. They do not go to overhead. They do not go to salaries. And so your money is well spent for people who need and want healing.
Thanks, Rebecca. That was very, very interesting. I know many of you may also be interested in our new MCN treatments. If so, contact our office or check our website for more information. And once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in and being a part of our 8th annual fundraiser, Tacos for Trinity. We really missed seeing you face to face this year, but so hope to do so next year. As always, we are deeply, deeply grateful for your support. And please do continue bidding until it closes at 8:30. And when you bid, remember that every bid goes a little higher, and that will give someone in need, maybe even in desperate need, the help that they seek. Please do continue bidding. As we said earlier, we will close the auction at 8:30 tonight, but remember that every bid that goes just a little bit higher will give someone in need, maybe even in desperate need, the help that they seek. Thank you again for all that you do for Trinity, and may God's blessing be upon all of you. Good evening.